some guy in the wall is just about off the rails.
Don't give me any ideas.
Especially when they're coming from the west, because they have all the tonnage on them. Yeah, weird.
Are there two tracks on the road or just the one? It separates behind U-Hauls,
Yeah, yeah, there's one main line, and then there's one coming around.
It divides into about 60 north. It's a little past 1 o'clock. I'll call the October meeting of the Plant Management Committee together. First item will be approval of minutes of the September 28th meeting. You should have had those by email. If not, you have copies in front of you, or there are some extras available here. Would anyone care to make a motion to approve?
I will.
I'll second.
Yep.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Does anyone need any clarification? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, no. Motion carried. Moving to building maintenance issues, first up is the animal shelter. I see Mr. Ludwig is here, and I think he wants to explain what's going on with item A1, which is an action item on our agenda today.
The director's here too, Al. She just came in behind Little Al.
All right.
Yeah.
I should have
Okay,
noticed
action
that
to-
pinkish.
She just came in.
Okay, I've got this, we are asking for approval of the architects for the animal shelter cat room addition. And I have summaries of this is the one that we're, proposing. When we rebid it, again, this is request for qualifications, it is not request for bids.
Okay.
And we got 3 bids in. They were, these are all the right ones. We got 3 bids in, and they ranged from 3,500 roughly to 18 or 15,000. We'd already discussed the $15,000 one with you before, and we had rejected that. This is the middle one, and if you can look at down in the middle there, it says our fee proposal is $11,500. We will provide $5,000 as in-kind donation to Rusk County Animal Shelter, with $6,500 as our remaining fee for this project. If you look at what they're proposing to do up there and everything, the $3,500 one we thought was going to be, we might be nickeled and dimed on that one, because they had only 35 hours, they weren't as comprehensive or anything else. Again, for requests for, this is an RFQ, request for qualifications, you do not have to take the lowest bid. It's not like a request for a proposal for building. And so by looking at them, we decided on this one, because they had the most comprehensive thing, and they're willing to meet, and it seemed, and they had done, well, you can read it there, right there, they've done other animal shelters and everything like that. And so our committee approved this one, and we are taking it to the joint committee, and then I'm not sure if, again, this is just for the architect, this is not for the building or anything else, this is just to draw up the plans, design it, and get that all done. I'm not sure if you have to take it to the city council, or and if we have to take it to the board. Again, this is just for the architect, it's not for, digging and doing all that stuff. So do you have any questions?
There is a stipulation in there, Terry, about the contract over a certain amount. Randy, you remember that? If you signed a contract over a certain amount, they had to go to both boards, the council and the board. But I don't know what that amount is.
I don't recall.
Okay, 'cause you remember when we were talking about contracts?
Well, I think in this case, they're just looking for, to hire an architect that's not a building contractor.
Okay.
And I think you probably have some funds to pay that, am I correct?
Right, right.
So, I would say that.
Presumably, we have to prove it here in any case, so I'd entertain a motion to do so.
I'll make that motion.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, does anyone, need clarification of that motion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed, no? Motion carried. Anything else, to report from the animal shelter? John or Terry?
No, just that, I mean, we had to come here first, so again, this is just another step in the process to get approval so we can move on. And then if you approve this, if it, you know, then we move on to the next steps.
So this is only, about 40% of the previous,
Well, the other one, which we have here, was the same one as the first round that we did, and that was $15,000. And that just seemed excessive for a 20 by 40 foot addition to a building. I mean, you know, we're not starting from scratch, it's just adding on, well, the cat room as we refer to it as, which you've seen the schematic drawings of that. And we thought that was rather high. And then we thought that the $3,500 one was a little bit too low for, you know, cause you do get what you pay for too. And we thought this was a happy medium, plus they're putting some skin in the game too, because they're providing $5,000 in-kind donation. So that's.
I'm gonna make an unprofessional comment here because I'm just that way. And suggest that maybe this technique could be tried with the jail design. He said with a rag gun. Sorry, excuse me for that. Anything else then from the animal shelter? Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Moving over to the library, Christina here.
That's,
No, she's out this week, I believe.
So Randy, are you aware of anything from the library? I believe that the window damage on the south side has been repaired.
Cool. I question where are we at with the heating system there?
Okay, I have no update there, but maybe Gary does.
so I talked to Doug Vertigan this morning, he's planning on doing it not, the first full week in November. So so there's that other boiler that's down there, and, I know Marty had said that it was probably usable or whatever, but I know we haven't used that, well, I haven't used it since I started here, cause I was told it was no good, the spare one, and that, so, we went there a few weeks ago and it was turned on, and my guy shut it off, because I don't think it's been inspected since 2018. I went there this morning and I turned it on, just to check. I didn't really wanna mess with it too much, but I shut it off right away because it was, it sounded like it was gonna blow up.
You're talking about the questionable boiler?
Yes, the one that's supposed to be good. There's one that's no good right now, but the other one, the other spare one, I want Doug to turn it on, and I want him to see what's going on, cause I don't know. as
Is
much
there a
as-
state certificate on the wall for either one of those?
There is, but they're from 2009 and
Oh,
previous.
I thought they had to be redone every 3 years.
Every 3 years. There's one there's a sticker right on the boiler from 2018
Okay.
from Liberty Mutual or whatever that does it, but
Are you gonna have someone come there, then Doug's gonna come and take a look at it?
I'm gonna have Doug take care of it, cause Doug wants to, well, I think Marty's coming back tomorrow, but I wanna get with Marty and Doug and just get a plan, because Doug he's got a certain amount of money just to do that one boiler, so he wants to know how much he can do, or how much he wants to tear into that boiler, because obviously the boiler itself ain't gonna cost what we allotted for, so he can kinda mess with some piping and get some stuff ready for the next, go around or whatever.
Okay, well, it's good, as long as there's some progress there.
So,
Yeah.
yep, we're keeping an eye on the heat, because obviously there's no heat in the basement right now. And, and as of now, I was actually just there 30 minutes ago, and it's pretty low. 65 degrees in the basement.
So there's no heat down there?
Right now, there's no heat down there at all.
Does anyone have any issues with the Leitner contract, or is everybody satisfied that that's been met?
I don't know where we're at financially there, if all the bills have been submitted, or,
So maybe Jamie can update us on that, perhaps for the next meeting. I do wanna thank her, for providing me, and I will get it to anyone else here that would like to see it, but I had asked at the last meeting that she provide that revenues versus expenditures by location for the industrial buildings. And, she did that. Most of them look pretty good. The only one that remains a little bothersome is for the Enterprise Center, and frankly, as we've discussed many times, that building has been problematic from day one. Part of the reason for that, it has multiple tenants, and without any city or county presence on site, nobody takes ownership of the facility, so if you have a leaky toilet, everybody leaves it to somebody else to report it, so we seem to incur costs there and have some empty spaces. However, I think that Rusk County Transit, for the most part, is probably a real solid, tenant going forward, and that should start to reverse itself and pay its own.
We try to keep it up pretty good, I think,
Alan, do you have any different view on that?
No, I think that, combination of Rusk County Transit, Cheryl there stays on top of stuff pretty good. I usually get emails if anything is going wrong, and Gary gets them pretty frequent too. Combination of that and actually paying tenants in some of those spots, we had the one that hadn't paid for a couple years and replaced them with Barefoot Painter, who's paying $375 a square foot annually.
Yep, so I think we'll have some turnaround there that will be positive. So,
I'll add anytime you can fill all your space with paying tenants, it helps the bottom line.
sure.
Gary, I got the question about the library when I pulled up there yesterday. The air conditioners on the east side have plywood over them and a brick.
Yep.
Are you gonna cover them completely? You did that at the Enterprise Center, it looks pretty good.
We're short 4 covers right now. I got four more coming.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
them are the only 4 that don't have covers on it,
Oh,
or
okay.
don't have the actual covers, they just got plywood on it.
Yeah, did they do it at the senior center, and covers there?
Yep.
Okay, 'cause them were brand new last year.
We wanna do covers and plywood, because a lot of times you get ice or snow coming down on
Right.
it and dents them, and
Check with Doug on those, because sometimes they void the warranty on them, because the air conditioners are designed to sit outside. It's good to put a cover on, to keep snow or whatever sitting on top of them, but some of those covers they don't allow it to breathe, so.
I've heard that myself too, yeah.
So, we want, if we've got new stuff out there, we don't wanna void a warranty on it, having something like that on it.
Thanks for that observation,
I
Brian.
didn't know that.
I myself would prefer to put just a plywood with a brick on it.
Yeah, from what I've read on the internet, that's the way it's supposed to go, but check with, if Doug put them in, I would go with his recommendations.
Okay, moving to, maintenance item C from the maintenance department itself. I believe that each of you should have in front of you, a monthly list from Gary about what his department has completed by location over the month. You can probably look that over on your own time. I guess I would only ask Gary, is there anything that you think needs to be pointed out on any of these that maybe stood out as a major item, or would you agree that everybody can look it over on their own?
I would agree, everybody can look. I mean, main thing, I guess, at Fritz, they got the paving done there now. The ADF, we ain't gonna be able to get that paving done. It sounds like, highway will do it in the spring. And that, the library needs that attention here, but we'll get that taken care of. I'm starting to make, Actually, we got a bunch of utility covers for overtop natural gas meters and stuff like that. We made them up, but we have to put them out there yet, so it'll be about a week or two, probably 2 weeks before we get to that.
Before deer season,
Yeah,
when the first snow often comes.
we put a lot of heated cords up and stuff in gutters and downspouts and valleys, and last year we had a tremendous trouble. So obviously, I'm hoping it's not gonna be like a winter like last year, but, I guess we're ready for it.
I see that, Terry replaced 2 blinking lights at the library, and I brought that to his attention. Those are annoying as hell, because they're blinking, just steady
Strobe light.
pulsing. What did those bulbs cost? I had understood they were quite expensive, so
Yeah.
I mentioned, maybe those poles could just be,
We put
Turned off.
some just standard ones in there, and they seem to be working fine here now.
Uh-huh.
And that, but yeah, if you buy the ones that were in there, I mean, they're $30. But it should be fine. I've had 2 guys working there for the last couple days. Actually, I went there and we got the netting all down, and I'll be honest with you, I think we're just gonna leave that netting off. And just make sure we, wash it every year, and that, because you can see where there's no netting, the building's clean. I mean, it's got a little bit of cobwebs, but where the netting is, it's,
The issue was mud swallows.
yeah. I think it just needs to be, power washed every year, and that was not the case for many years.
Maybe we could try that for a year and then revisit it. Mud swallows take over everything. Would that be alright?
It got to be a major problem. I think if you haven't seen it, you're underestimating.
Oh, I remember, it looked like a honeycomb from a bee's nest.
And they were very hard to get out of there and hard to get that down, and there are some people in the county here who have already, and when I say the county, I mean citizens from across the county that don't think those birds should be disturbed, just like the geese at part of the lake. So if we, allow them there and try to remove them, they might be a little, out trying fake book, as I prefer to call it.
there'd be no point in having it up for the winter, so it's.
Yeah, they can wait till spring. Junior?
I was gonna say, just in the spirit, you and I seem to have been butting heads on a lot of stuff philosophically. I'd advocate that we try it for a year, and if we catch any heat, send them to me. I'll take the heat off everybody's shoulders.
Yeah, there's a whole story behind that that's pretty long and sordid.
You don't wanna hear it.
No.
So then they replaced the lights that they could on the high ends too on the library. And that, there's some that we're gonna have to probably call an electrician to come out, just because some of the lights are shot. Not that we couldn't do it, it's just probably better to have an electrician
No,
come
his
in.
Lechner is done over there, I think, isn't he?
He's got a little interior trim work.
Yeah.
He called me and said that'll be coming in like mid-November.
Okay.
Just some trim work inside the library.
Oh, okay.
So the issue was material, waiting for material?
Yeah, material availability.
Anything else, from maintenance, or?
I guess just like over at Gates Avenue there, with the loading dock door over there, but it sounds like, I think Mark sent an, or is it Mark?
Yeah.
Bittner?
Is that you?
No, that's my boss.
Okay.
Yeah. They've got Rand's Trucking working on it, cause it was apparently one of their drivers that
Yeah.
caused it, so.
Rand's is supposed to take care of it.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have anything on the ADF plant at item D? Any concerns, issues? If not, we can move to the Doty Road building. We have listed those rain handlers there, but I know Marty was, trying to track down another 100 feet of those without having much luck. They seem to be, pretty hard to come by anymore. And he's had real good luck with the property that he owned, but, if we can't find enough to finish the building, maybe we can do half and, use conventional rain gutters.
Are some of them up, what we had?
So we didn't put any up, we had a rental that.
We're trying to get another 100 feet of them and then ramp the roof, right?
You put the projectors on the roof though, didn't you?
What's that?
On
Yep,
the Dowdy Road building, they,
That's
that's
every-
all that day was.
every building's got them now.
Oh, good,
Yep,
okay.
and then,
Wow, that's-
at Dowdy there, we replaced the exhaust pipes and everything.
Right.
We gotta go in there and, put some elastomeric coating on the roof yet. There's a few leaks, but it'll be done as soon as it dries up.
Alan, do you have any issues,
Yeah.
tenants at the enterprise center?
Nothing with the tenants, Mr. Lawrence, who was doing the cleaning there, well, he's been down in, I think it was Texas, for a couple weeks dealing with some family health issues that he's gone down to help with. So I believe Westlake is gonna meet with Cheryl there today, might be going on right now even, and looking at getting Westlake to get back in there and do the cleaning just on a weekly scheduled basis. They had apparently been doing that, up until COVID, and then quit doing that, and now they're able to, so, I told them to just, it hasn't been thoroughly cleaned in a couple weeks apparently. Cheryl and staff have been doing a little bit, but I told Westlake to just go ahead and get it cleaned, a time or two here, and then bill us. But then to, actually get us a proposal so we can have a signed contract and get their insurance back on file. I don't know if the county uses them for anything already, where they, have a W-9 and insurance on file, but, so that change will be coming.
Does anybody else have anything issue or needing a report on that location?
They put new, I know that, Transit put a new phone system in for themselves, which they, said is working very well, much better than what was in there, so.
Okay, thank you for that.
Did they do anything with that parking lot where the chairs had sunk down in the blacktop?
We pulled them out. We pulled the landing gears
What
out,
did you put in there, just some patching?
just some gravel
Or-
that was around there for now. But the landing gears were pulled out.
Did they get that, light up in the parking lot there on that one corner?
I see they got the pole out of there. I think Dave said, B&B was doing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But the pole's not there, so I'm assuming they're rounding up a pole and then gonna put something back.
Thank you. Fritz Avenue plant. Does anyone have anything there?
Me and Marty just gotta go through it yet, for the heating system, but, that paving got done. We moved one of them air handlers out of the way, so the paving got done. I think they called Kurt up and raised the riser up, on one of the drains and that. But, that seems to be done. I know they talked that it was kinda soft under there. I know there are some cones out there yet and that, but, I think that should be.
Yeah, it looked pretty good. There is, still an issue on the east building, but that's city only to resolve that one, so. We will do that. Moving to Gates Avenue, we have a brief tour of that at the end of the meeting, but, does anybody have anything that needs attention right now? We covered the damaged overhead door, I believe. So the Rams trucking is taking care of that. Waiting for material, I believe.
Be, working on a lease renewal with Dunn Paper,
Okay.
similarly on Fritz, Rockwood's, in talks with them too.
Okay,
Extend their-
Are you talking a single year on both, or some of them multiple years?
Some of them multiple potentially.
Well, it's always good to, Randy, go ahead.
No, I mentioned a tour there, I'm not sure that, what we're gonna see there, I know the sheriff is really adding much. They've got evidence in there that they like to keep track of, so I don't know if we need to go in there today, or we could certainly schedule something.
I think Alan said we weren't gonna be able to get into that space, but we'll look at a couple of others.
Yeah, I stopped at the window on the way in, to check and was informed by, I forget the lady's name that's at the front there. The sheriff had just stepped out and wasn't gonna be available, and it sounded like, yeah, some of the officers are maybe doing the insurance meeting and stuff, so. They didn't think they'd be able to accommodate that today, but could schedule one. Maybe, you know, in a week or 2 weeks or something, or maybe it can wait till the November meeting.
30th.
It's my hope that, as we move ahead into the next year, that we can, visit every facility that we manage at least once a year. There's 12 months in the year, and I think we have about that many facilities, so. Sometimes it's good to get out and visualize. Some of us have been in all of those facilities a lot of times, but some of us have never been in any of them, so.
I would, I would recommend you guys go to Gates there and just check it out, because as soon as you open up that overhead door, the fumes just blast you.
The what?
The fumes just blast you.
Oh.
I don't let my guys go in there without a half-face respirator.
Where's that at?
Gates.
Fiberglass area there.
Fumes from what?
Fiberglass.
Oh, okay.
In the town papers area, it's pretty bad. In the sheriff's area, it's not as bad because there's, you know, 2 walls that already kind of detoured a little bit, but.
Does anyone know if, those particular odors are regulated by any authority? I do not know. Whether they're hazardous, if they require any respiration for employees.
I would think there
I
would
would-
be.
I would guess there would be.
Air Quality Act or something.
I would think they'd have to have some kind of a meter up there, you know what I mean?
In June, I think it was June, I got an ambulance ride to the hospital from the fumes, and then after that, I required all my guys to wear a half-face respirator when they're working in that building. But
I know that,
but I was in there for 5 hours straight, cleaning it out.
The fumes in the Enterprise Center used to be pretty excessive too, and I think that was Allied Cabinet was painting in the hallway frequently rather than using the equipment that was provided to exhaust those odors. I will ask the city building inspector to check that out and go up the chain if he needs to determine if something else is needed there that's not available or provided.
Any idea whose responsibility would that be? Would that be ours or renters?
Presumably the tenant.
As far as like a monitor or something.
Right. We'll find that out too if we can.
So depending on what the chemical is, there's gonna be permissible exposure limits, PEL. So that's the thing you're gonna have to look at.
Do the folks that work in there wear masks?
Air supplied hoods. Air supplied hoods.
Oh, okay.
Astronaut suit. Top half of it.
Well, if they need those, then I presume that anybody that's picking it up strongly elsewhere in the building probably needs some protection also. But we will track that down.
Don't they have some kind of an exhaust system for it? I think they would.
Yeah, they've got exhaust hoods in there too, like basically spray hoods. But you can take a look at that when we're there.
Well, maybe it's
If we're
not
still gonna
enough.
go out. Look at everything else.
Hey, Gary, at the, hospital, you know, we just talked a little bit about just before the meeting, somebody mentioned that garage out there where we kept the transfer ambulance, is that, fairly decent yet, or, you know what I mean, that transfer ambulance garage?
Oh, the boiler room
Yeah.
garage there?
Yeah,
It's in good shape, man. I mean,
no, but I mean, for use of some storage building, like lawnmowers or something like that.
it'd be perfect for that.
In your experience, can ya, I know you've got a contract already, but I would assume you can change order stuff in and out of that contract to a point?
I guess I asked and they told me they don't want no part of it. personnel.
Yeah, we probably have to go back, Tony, to your committee, the property committee,
Well,
the county property.
I mean, you got a contract with Haas.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of the contract, so I think anything you wanna do, you probably have to go back to Haas.
Yeah.
And get some accommodation or
Be a change
sale or-
order,
Huh?
a change order.
What for the sale or whatever, I mean, right now Haas got full control.
Is he the project manager too? Is he-
Yes,
Oh, okay,
we got full control, so,
okay.
you know, basically, anything you wanna do, you have to deal with Haas.
Who would be authorized at the county level? Would that be something that, Ashley would do?
I would
or-
say actually probably would be starting point. You know, find out what's, you know, if they wanna separate that from the original contract somehow or whatever, I mean, I guess I would leave that to at least start that. Or look into it.
Oh, it was a sound building, you know, I mean, something that person could utilize. Be ashamed to tear it down, you know, that part of it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're talking about that garage over there?
Yeah, off to the side there.
Yeah, to the west.
Yes, yes.
Especially if the county just bought the clinic.
Yeah, you'd be tied to it for some amount of time, if you're owning the clinic.
What's that?
If you're owning the clinic, you'll be tied to that spot for at least some period of time until you dispose of the clinic.
Well, if that's the fact, if you decided to get rid of it, you know,
Oh, yeah, maybe.
put some thought about using it.
The garage can be vents in.
Oh. Is anyone, moving forward to item I, does anyone have any concerns, issues, or questions or comments about the Jez Road building?
I had a call from a gentleman that we discussed before, wondering about the appraisals, giving us an offer at some point in time, and so.
Yeah, we got an offer, I believe, that was probably, in my estimation at least, clearly out of the ballpark, way too low. Not realistic.
Yeah, that's the gentleman that called, so, I
think
told him we would more than likely discuss that, and I'm bringing it up, so, just to let you know. He wondered, yeah, he's interested in it, and so wondered why we haven't acted on it, I said, well, I think it's a big coming up, so.
So an option for him would be the former 5R building over in Glen Florida, perhaps. You know, we've noted at this table that building is probably a pretty attractive price, especially compared to replacement cost and in relatively good condition. And there might be other private buildings available too, but you know, his offer was nowhere near the appraised value here. And that's what I've just passed out is the appraisals we had authorized a few months back for 4 different locations. 1101 Barnett Road, which we know as the Enterprise Center. 101 Doughty Road, which is fully occupied by ADF. 501 Doughty Road, which was recently vacated by, no?
Still in there, we got a notice, but they're in there too.
Going to vacate at the end of the calendar year?
Yep.
OPE?
Yep.
And the last one is 1402 Jez Road, which was vacated by a pipeline company recently.
Without reading this, is that, okay, $377,000, is that, there are 2 buildings, right?
Yeah, and the one is valued considerably higher than the other because it's heated and has offices and restrooms and so on in it. And insulated, it's finished out, whereas the other one is really not much more than a shell, cold shell. So, those are the 2 that we've talked about that are directly in line with each other and at the same elevation, so that somewhere in the future consideration could be given to connecting the 2, creating one building that's 60,000 square feet or larger, which is the size range that has been more successful in attracting end users. And, Alan is in contact with a potential, occupant for a building of that size range. And when if that gets any further along in discussion, we'll,
Which of the buildings on Jez Road, which one was, gentleman interested in? The heated one,
I assume it's a heated one.
or the shell?
I think that was 501, the off-road square.
Might have been, yeah, we're probably right off the top. But- And he is aware now of the, both appraised price and the estimated replacement cost. I did email him.
Oh, you sent him that in the last few days?
Yeah.
Okay. Cause he called about, 2 or 3 days ago, so.
Yeah, I got a response that I wasn't necessarily too impressed with from him, so I'll leave it at that though.
I've been out at the Jez Road building a couple times, in the last week here, and the back door's been locked, or unlocked every time I go there. But,
Is there anything inside?
no, it's empty, but
So any idea why it would be unlocked?
I do not know. But,
And you locked it?
yep, I
And then
locked it.
come back and it's unlocked?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Somebody's got a
Do
key.
you have, access to trail cams or anything like that that could get set back there?
Somebody camping in there? We'd have to put a different lock on it.
Yeah, there's funny things that go on, this isn't a necessary comment here, but, I was gonna maybe walk over and see the police chief before I left the building and tell him that 4 times in the last 4 months, I've observed at the now closed Ladysmith Elementary School on Window Avenue, a car sitting in the middle of the driveway way out in the old field area, and then a minute later seeing a flashlight come on in the trees over along East 4th Street, and the flashlight walk over to the car. And I know flashlights don't walk themselves, but I suspect I know what's going on there.
Well, there is a problem around the community. When you get around the community and some of these folks come forward and talk a little bit about that, I've mentioned it a couple times. I even sent an email to Doug, and then when we had the Rainbow Floral Center up, Doc Reiser went to get my teeth cleaned that day, and he said, Mike, he said, our staff was out on the sidewalk yesterday, there's someone living up above the Rainbow Floral. And by God, you told the staff, you stay away from that building, I'm gonna go up there. I said, hey, you let the city, you know what I mean, you donated to the city, then you know what, let them take care of it. Because they'll put a lock on, if you go up there and confront the person who's there, you could get hurt. So by God, you gotta hold the dog. You know, there's a couple other dwellings in town here, the Nelson building down here on Minor Avenue, that front door is open again now.
I
And,
reported that.
and the other thing is, one day out on the Madazinski, out on Dowdy, out on Barnett Road, there was a guy coming out of that building with real long hair and stuff, and then a couple days later, Al, you had been in the driveway, but I didn't know if anybody reported that, but, you know, I think these guys that, you know, are kind of passing through the community, they're looking for a place to stay, and you know what, if they see something that doesn't have lights on or no movement, I think you're gonna see some of those folks take advantage of it. But there is a liability to have those folks there, just like at the Rainbow Floral, I said, hey, that guy upstairs, if he's a smoker, you know what, he starts a building on fire, burn a dental clinic down, you know, that's not right either. And same way down here in this neighborhood in Minor Avenue, with that door open like that, it's a 2-story building, something goes wrong there, look at how proximity of the houses on both sides, so. You know, there is a liability when you take a building over like that, make damn sure it's secure, so. I just wanted to bring that up, that these things are happening, just like you said, Gary. If someone has a key or somebody knows how to card that lock, you know, they could be doing some stuff in there. And, eventually damage a building or whatever, you know?
Bad thing is everything's keyed to, all them buildings are keyed the same as the courthouse. So I mean, it's anybody that has a master key can get into any building in the county.
Can you report that to either LPD or the sheriff's department or both, what you run into? Thank you.
Those buildings on Jez Road, has there been any interest in leasing those buildings, or
Yeah, Alan's trying to know that.
have we had them leased in the past?
Yeah, one still is. One is through the end of the calendar year. The other one was just vacated, what, a month or two ago?
In July.
Yeah, so, but we're working with, an existing local company that might potentially have use for them, so. A very solid company. Yeah, hopefully that'll be something that works out, and we'll be able to give you the details of the future meeting.
Didn't we, when we had a vacancy at the Enterprise Center recently, have some kind of, I don't know if we call it a request for proposal or whatever, but
Yeah.
we had people potentially interested in it, you know, state what they were gonna do with it and how many jobs would be created and, you know, what they'd be willing to pay per square foot and everything.
Yep.
Are we gonna do that again with this vacancy, or?
Guess I'd like to sit on it at least another month and find out if the bigger negotiation gets anywhere. And I'll say it's a very sizable potential project, you know, versus leasing it to somebody for, you know, a year at $3 a square foot or whatever. Obviously you can break those leases there too. So, but I think we'll have an idea on the direction within about a month here of that bigger play, so.
So, you know, review these numbers and give it some thought. We might want to, at some point, talk about whether there's potential to put any of these facilities up for sale. Sometimes the occupants prefer to be tenants only. The city's been leasing to Rockwell for over 30 years, and that's the model they wish to continue to follow there. Provide a lot of jobs, but don't wanna be the owner. And, in the case of the Enterprise Center, with Rusk County Transit occupying most of the space, I don't know whether it would work for them to consider a buyout, or if they're even in that kind of a position to borrow against certain federal and state funds. Probably not, but one never knows.
I could bring that up and see what, you know, if it would be feasible for
Even
them.
possible.
Yeah.
The only thing is, yeah, when I checked into that about a year ago, cause the Eau Claire Transit got a grant, state federal grant for almost 3/4 of a new transit building. But the transit has to be all in one building. You know, the maintenance, the whole ball of wax has to be under one roof. So, you know, I don't know if they changed the criteria or not, but Andy, maybe you can check into it. Cause there is state and federal grant money for transit building, separate building, but you have to have the whole facility under one site.
I remember
Yeah,
talking about
yeah.
that.
So I thought that would be a good deal if there was some federal money and stuff to, cause the whole works in one setting.
The ADF building at 101 Doughty Road, the lease that was structured with them a long time ago, provided a buyout provision where they could buy the building and apply the lease payments for the purchase price, but they have always chosen, not to go ahead with that, even though we have made an attempt to talk them into it. They prefer to keep leasing that lease thus far. But that provision isn't in the lease. So,
Yeah, that beach that one building, I'm not beach, 501 Doughty, was that appraisal $600,000?
yes,
Seems to me that we spent over $1 million in that building,
wouldn't surprise me.
with the installed heating and everything.
Sure.
The fair market value doesn't have any relation to the replacement cost.
Well, I understand, but with a building that's got that kind of, if you wanna call it heat, amenities, whatever, power, everything in there, seems like an awful low price for that amount of space.
Yeah, I think if anyone wants to see the full appraisals, they're a fairly extensive document, and, yeah, John is correct. Oftentimes, these numbers reflect what the lease rates have been, the income-based approach. And, you know, if you're leasing stuff too low, and some of these have been, at least in my estimation, then that's going to be reflected.
Wasn't that about 20,000 square foot building?
It is,
Yeah.
and as you suggest, it would, it probably did cost all of $1 million when it was put together, and if you want to replace it now, it would probably be substantially more than that.
Yeah, probably 2 million, whatever.
I just wanted to, I forgot to mention about the enterprise building there. Last year, I kinda told you guys about the boiler was kinda on the fritz. So since we started it up this year, every morning we have to go reset it, and that's because it shuts itself off, basically. I have, on Monday, I have Gene coming out from Certified. He's worked on it years ago, from what I heard. I talked to him about 3 weeks ago, but he couldn't get out here until Monday. But he said he recommended to the county 6 years ago that it got replaced.
Okay, is he in a position to help maybe put together
That's what I'm
an RFP for replacement?
That's what I'm hoping for, cause he's worked on it since it's been brand new, pretty much,
You said that's a gas boiler in there?
natural gas, yeah.
At one time, they changed the motherboard on that. I
Well,
remember that, they got it online, someone, remember, Mike put it in there years ago.
Last year we had to, replace the drive on it, and that seemed to help. And a lot of zone valves need to be replaced, and that because we can't, regulate the temperature. I mean, Ben Wild's got his area over there that, he's got seed and stuff in there, and it's hard to regulate it. I mean, he wants it at a certain temperature, and, which I don't blame him, and that, but sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's hot in there.
So that
sometimes it's cold.
system has to be pushing 30 years old, certainly past a quarter century, so it's due.
Yeah.
It's due when we best do it.
No, I was gonna respond to Mr. Hauser, so 501 Dowdy, the replacement cost that was estimated, which is further in these documents, was 1.8 million, and then the unheated one was 1.5 million. To give you an idea, their estimate on replacement cost, and I know from talking with engineers, I think the last time the city looked at something, they told us plan 170 a square foot, which comes up a lot higher than
Yeah, you said
what the appraisers.
where we talked a few minutes ago about the two buildings on Jez Road being directly in line with each other and doing an infill building. That infill building was estimated to cost $3.7 million.
3 million something for that center section, proposed center section.
So,
Roof and 2 walls.
well, it's something we would
Basically.
like to do, scraping up those kind of dollars is not an easy thing to do. Okay, we are, I believe,
You mentioned, I see in the agenda here that the invoice, we'll be looking at an invoice for these appraisals.
yeah. And so, what's the number on that contract?
$7,750.
And that was the bid price for doing all those. Would anyone care to make a motion to approve that?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, no. Motion carried. I, don't recall what it is I was going to comment on, but I probably commented too much already, so. We're up to, the tour of the Gates Avenue plant. And I guess everybody can just meet over there at 2 o'clock, it's 10 to 2,
So what about, he said something about if you go into Gates Avenue, the air is bad there, I wouldn't wanna go in there.
Well, we could,
I would say go over there and let me open up the door. I wouldn't, be honest with you, I wouldn't go in there if I were you guys, but.
I would figure out what.
so you can open up the overhead door, we can just peek in or whatever.
Correct. I
They
mean,
tour
you
the
can-
exterior of the building.
I was just over there, earlier and, I mean, they had the overhead doors open already, so I mean, I'm sure a lot of it's kind of come out.
I don't have to.
Probably not.
So we'd stay out of the sheriff's area.
I don't have a, I don't have a
think we
key.
have any means to get in, no.
Unless he's magically there and offers to let us in, yeah, we can't get in
The
there.
next meeting is set on November 30th.
Yep, the next meeting, November 30th, I presume here, is this going to be where we're meeting now?
No, because we just had, open enrollment going on, so that's why I had to change it.
Actually, I kinda like this better than that one, but
So you wanna meet in here?
I think it works for me, especially if we have to come in
Sure.
right over here.
If that's fine with me.
Can you look and see if I have the housing, Rusk County housing, for Monday?